What if the greatest sign that your children love you isn't what they say, but how they consistently treat you when they no longer have to depend on you? Respect in adulthood looks very different from obedience in childhood, and many parents miss these quiet but powerful signals. Psychology shows that genuine respect is reflected through everyday choices, healthy communication, and emotional maturity. These 7 signs can help you recognize whether the bond you've built has grown into lasting mutual respect. As parents grow older, one of the strongest signs of genuine respect from their adult children is the way those children respond to their independence. Many people assume that aging automatically means becoming less capable, but psychology suggests that maintaining a sense of autonomy is deeply connected to emotional well-being, self-esteem, and life satisfaction. Adult children who truly respect their parents understand this difference. Instead of stepping in to control every decision, they recognize that experience, wisdom, and personal preferences still matter. They ask before offering help rather than assuming help is always needed. For example, they may say, "Would you like me to handle this, or would you rather do it yourself?" That simple question communicates trust instead of doubt. Respect is reflected in allowing parents to remain active participants in their own lives, whether that involves managing finances, making travel plans, choosing medical options with their healthcare providers, or organizing daily routines. Of course, there are situations where additional support becomes necessary, but emotionally healthy families try to balance safety with personal dignity. Communication researchers often note that people respond more positively when they feel included in decisions that affect them. Adult children who honor this principle avoid speaking over their parents, making plans without consulting them, or assuming that age alone means poor judgment. They also avoid using a patronizing tone or treating ordinary mistakes as proof that their parent can no longer be trusted. Instead, they encourage confidence by recognizing strengths that still exist while offering assistance only when it is genuinely helpful. This approach creates cooperation instead of resistance because it preserves a parent's identity rather than replacing it. Respect also appears in everyday moments, such as allowing a parent to choose where the family gathers for dinner, asking for their opinion before making important family decisions, or recognizing that their hobbies and routines deserve the same consideration as anyone else's. These actions communicate an important psychological message. Your life still belongs to you. That message often strengthens trust between generations because it replaces control with partnership. Older adults who feel respected in this way are more likely to communicate openly about their real needs, accept support without feeling embarrassed, and maintain healthier relationships built on mutual appreciation rather than dependence. One of the clearest signs that your adult children genuinely respect you is that they continue to value your perspective, even when they ultimately make their own choices. Psychology distinguishes respect from agreement. Respect does not require 2 people to reach the same conclusion. It requires each person to recognize the other's thoughts as worthy of consideration. Emotionally mature adult children understand that their parents' decades of life experience offer a unique lens, even if the world has changed since they were young. Rather than dismissing your opinions with comments like, "Things are different now," or interrupting before you've finished speaking, they make space for your ideas. They ask thoughtful questions, listen with patience, and reflect on what you've shared before deciding what is best for their own circumstances. This kind of interaction demonstrates that they see you as a trusted source of wisdom, rather than someone whose views have become outdated. Healthy communication research suggests that people feel respected when they are heard without being rushed or judged, and this principle remains true across generations. In everyday life, this might look like a daughter discussing a career decision because she values your practical outlook, or a son asking how you handled financial challenges during difficult times before making an investment. They may choose a different path after considering your advice, but they explain their reasoning instead of ignoring your input. That distinction matters because it communicates appreciation rather than rejection. Adult children who respect their parents also recognize that every generation faces different challenges, so conversations become opportunities to exchange perspectives instead of proving who is right. They avoid turning disagreements into competitions and instead focus on understanding each other's experiences. Even during emotionally charged discussions about health, living arrangements, grandchildren, or family traditions, they remain willing to hear your concerns without becoming defensive. This creates an atmosphere where honest conversations are possible because everyone feels emotionally safe. Respect also appears in small moments, such as remembering something you suggested months earlier. thanking you for advice that helped them solve a problem, or acknowledging that your life experiences shaped lessons they still carry today. These behaviors reinforce the idea that your voice continues to have meaning, not because you always have the correct answer, but because your thoughts, experiences, and values remain an important part of the family's shared understanding. One of the most meaningful signs that your adult children truly respect you is that they continue to include you in their lives because they genuinely want your presence, not because they feel pressured by tradition or family expectations. Psychology emphasizes that healthy relationships thrive on voluntary connection rather than obligation. When adult children make an effort to involve you in family moments, share important milestones, or simply call to tell you about an ordinary day, they are communicating that your place in their lives remains valuable. These interactions are not driven by guilt but by appreciation. They understand that emotional closeness is built through consistent contact, not only during birthdays, holidays, or emergencies. Respect is reflected when they remember that relationships require ongoing attention regardless of age. This kind of inclusion often appears in quiet, everyday situations that many people overlook. They may ask if you would like to join a family dinner, invite you to watch a grandchild's school performance, or include you in conversations about future vacations, celebrations, or family traditions. Even if you choose not to participate every time, the invitation itself sends a powerful message that your presence matters. Communication experts often note that people develop stronger family bonds when they feel welcomed rather than expected to earn their place. Adult children who respect their parents understand this principle and avoid making them feel like outsiders in the next generation of family life. Respect also shows itself in the way they share parts of their own lives with you. They tell you about personal achievements, challenges at work, exciting opportunities, or lessons they are learning, because they trust you enough to let you remain part of their journey. They are not only seeking advice, they are strengthening emotional connection through openness. This creates conversations that feel natural instead of formal, allowing both generations to know each other as adults, rather than remaining trapped in old parent-child roles. Equally important, respectful adult children recognize your own interests, friendships, and commitments. They understand that your life does not revolve entirely around theirs, so they invite rather than demand, appreciate rather than expect, and remain flexible when making plans. They respect your schedule, ask what works best for you, and avoid assuming you will always be available. These thoughtful choices demonstrate emotional maturity because they acknowledge that healthy relationships are built on mutual consideration, where every family member feels seen, welcomed, and appreciated as an important part of the family's continuing story. One of the strongest indicators that your adult children truly respect you is the way they protect your dignity when life becomes complicated or emotions run high. Every family experiences disagreements, misunderstandings, and stressful moments, but respect is revealed not by the absence of conflict, but by the manner in which conflict is handled. Psychology suggests that emotionally mature people are able to separate a disagreement from a person's worth. Adult children who genuinely respect their aging parents understand that even when opinions differ, their parents deserve kindness, patience, and consideration. They avoid embarrassing you in front of relatives, correcting you harshly in public, or speaking in a tone that makes you feel small. Instead, they choose words that preserve your confidence while still addressing important issues honestly. This respect becomes especially meaningful during conversations about sensitive topics such as health, driving, finances, living arrangements, or changing physical abilities. These discussions can easily become emotional because they involve independence, identity, and personal pride. A respectful adult child does not issue commands or treat every conversation as if they are now the authority. Instead, they ask questions, listen carefully, and explain their concerns without making you feel judged. They understand that being heard is just as important as finding a solution. Even when they disagree with your decision, they acknowledge your feelings and recognize the experiences that shaped your perspective. Emotional intelligence also appears in the ability to stay calm during disagreements. Rather than raising their voice using sarcasm, bringing up old mistakes, or trying to win an argument, respectful adult children focus on solving the problem together. They understand that criticism delivered with anger often damages trust, while honest conversations delivered with empathy strengthen relationships. Communication research consistently highlights that people are more open to difficult discussions when they feel emotionally safe instead of attacked. Respect is often reflected in small choices that many families overlook. They give you time to finish your thoughts without interrupting. They avoid speaking about you as though you are not in the room, and they make sure your opinions are included before decisions are finalized. If they make a mistake or speak too quickly, they are willing to apologize sincerely because they value the relationship more than being right. These behaviors create an atmosphere where conversations remain constructive, allowing both generations to navigate life's inevitable challenges with mutual trust, emotional security, and a shared commitment to preserving each other's dignity. One of the most dependable signs that your adult children truly respect you is their consistency. Respect is not measured by grand gestures on holidays or expensive gifts on special occasions. Instead, psychology shows that healthy relationships are built through reliable, repeated behaviors that create emotional security over time. Adult children who respect their parents understand that trust grows from showing up in small but meaningful ways. They return phone calls when they say they will, remember important appointments, check in after a medical visit, and follow through on promises instead of making excuses. These everyday actions communicate that you are a priority in their lives, not simply an obligation that receives attention only when it is convenient. Consistency also reflects emotional responsibility. Life becomes busy with careers, marriages, parenting, and personal responsibilities, yet respectful adult children recognize that maintaining a relationship requires regular effort. They may not be available every day, but they establish patterns of communication that you can rely on. Whether it is a weekly visit, a regular phone call, or a simple message asking how you are doing, these routines create a sense of stability. Behavioral psychology suggests that predictable positive interactions strengthen relationships because they reduce uncertainty and reinforce feelings of connection. Knowing that someone can be counted on often matters more than the length of any single conversation. Reliability is especially important during challenging moments. If you experience an illness, face an unexpected problem, or simply need emotional support after a difficult day, respectful adult children make a sincere effort to be present in whatever way they reasonably can. They do not disappear when situations become uncomfortable or complicated. Even when distance prevents them from helping in person, they stay involved through regular communication, practical planning, or arranging additional support. Their actions demonstrate that caring is expressed through commitment rather than convenience. Respect is equally visible in the little details that many people overlook. They remember conversations from weeks earlier and ask how a situation turned out. They notice changes in your mood and gently check if everything is all right. They keep commitments instead of frequently canceling plans at the last minute. When unexpected circumstances force them to change plans, they communicate honestly rather than leaving you wondering. These seemingly ordinary habits build lasting confidence because they show that their words and actions consistently match, creating a relationship where trust is strengthened through dependable care, thoughtful attention, and genuine consideration for your place in their lives. One of the deepest signs that your adult children truly respect you is that they continue to honor your personal boundaries while also trusting you to honor theirs. As families evolve, the parent-child relationship naturally changes from one based on authority to one built on mutual respect. Psychology recognizes healthy boundaries as an essential part of emotionally mature relationships because they allow people to remain connected without feeling controlled or emotionally overwhelmed. Adult children who genuinely respect their parents understand that love does not require constant access to each other's lives. Instead, they recognize that every person deserves privacy, personal space, and the freedom to make individual choices. This respect is reflected in everyday interactions. They do not pressure you into sharing personal information that you would rather keep private, and they avoid making assumptions about how you should spend your time, money, or retirement. They ask before making major decisions that involve you instead of deciding on your behalf. At the same time, they feel comfortable expressing their own needs respectfully. For example, they may explain that work commitments limit how often they can visit, but they communicate this honestly rather than disappearing without explanation. This kind of openness prevents misunderstandings and helps both generations maintain realistic expectations. Emotionally intelligent families also understand that boundaries are not walls meant to push people away. They are guidelines that protect trust and reduce unnecessary conflict. Respectful adult children avoid using guilt, emotional pressure, or silent treatment to influence your decisions. They recognize that differences in opinions, lifestyles, or parenting styles do not have to damage the relationship. Instead of demanding agreement, they focus on maintaining kindness and understanding. This creates an environment where conversations remain calm even when sensitive topics arise. Healthy boundaries also allow parents to continue growing as individuals. Respectful adult children encourage your hobbies, friendships, volunteer work, travel plans, and personal goals, rather than assuming your life should revolve around family responsibilities. They celebrate your independence, while appreciating the wisdom and support you choose to offer. Likewise, they appreciate when you respect their responsibilities, schedules, and family decisions without viewing every difference as rejection. This mutual understanding creates a balanced relationship where both generations feel valued as capable adults. The result is a lasting bond built not on control, obligation, or constant agreement, but on genuine appreciation, emotional trust, thoughtful communication, and the confidence that each person's dignity, choices, and individuality will continue to be respected as life changes over time.